So last time I did one of these videos, I talked about how much I love the Gundam franchise, what it's meant to me, how I got into it, all that great shit. And then I put up a poll on Twitter. You guys, very overwhelming majority voted that the next thing I should talk about is the Metal Gear Solid franchise, or the Metal Gear franchise. And Jesus Christ, people, yeah, I love me some MSG. Wait, MGS. I love MGS. God damn it, I've already ruined this video. Fuck! Yes, MGS, Metal Gear Solid. I've been a fan of it, not as long as a lot of other people. Like, you would think, given my age, I've probably been into the series since, like, Metal Gear Solid, or, like, maybe Metal Gear Solid 2 or 3. No, I didn't jump onto this franchise until just before MGS 4. And the reason that happened was, I had made a whole bunch of new friends. Usually like the guys you see in like videos that I do, like the Wii Boots podcast, Dan and Bob, Aggro. Like I met those guys. Well, about a year or so before that game came out, and they were super hyped for it. And they started introducing me to this franchise, and I was just like, oh man, like this game looks really cool. Like MGS4 looked so fucking cool, and like they were starting to like get me into like the hype of it, and I was like, well, shit, I want to be involved in this too, but I didn't want to just jump in at 4. I understood this game had like a lot of lore and stuff. Jumping in at 4 would just be a bad idea because I wouldn't have all the context. So I went and I bought what was called back then the Metal Gear Solid Essentials Collection, which had Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. It was like they're all in PS2 cases, even though MGS1 was for the PS1. It was still in a case style. I would hold up visual aids for all of these, but I just moved, and I don't know where the fuck I packed my Metal Gear Solid games. I got 4. I got 4 right here. I don't know where the fuck I put the rest of my Metal Gear games. It's in some random box somewhere. I don't know why the fuck it's packed differently from everything else, but it is. But anyhow, I got that Essentials Collection, and I played Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and the day I finished 3 was the day I went to go pick up 4. Like seriously, there was maybe 13 hours between me seeing the final cutscene of MGS3 and then going to the midnight launch of MGS4. It was that close to like how I finished 3 and then going right into 4. And when I first played these games, oh my god, people, they blew my fucking mind. Because a lot of people talk about like, oh, like, oh, these games are so great for their time and blah, blah. No, those games are great now. Like, I would consider like the hallmark of a truly great game is like when you pick it up, years later, like, especially, like, in my situation, where you're picking it up years later, you've already played all these newer, fancier, better-looking games, and you go and, like, these old-ass games from yore still blow your fucking balls off. That's not nostalgia. That's just quality fucking game-making right there. People always put, like, a Ocarina of Time and Final Fantasy VII and, Symphony of the Night on these pedestals. But, like, by the time I'd gotten to those games, yeah, they're good games. But by then I had already played Wind Waker. I had already played, like, other RPGs that I liked more than 7. And Symphony of the Night just isn't as good as Aria of Sorrow. Sorry. But whenever I got to the Metal Gear series, I just never... Like, those games still impressed the fuck out of me. Just, even with, like, like the low poly, character models of the original Metal Gear Solid, it was still so visually impressive because it had this really striking, artistic, like, visual design to it. People will look back at those games like, oh, PS1 games look like shit. It's like, no, PS1 games have their own low poly charm to them. Like low poly count does not mean bad graphics, bad visuals. You can still have really nice visuals with that low poly count aesthetic. And MGS is a really great example of that. It was, people always point to Twin Snakes. Oh, Twin Snakes looks so much better. It's such a better game. I've never played Twin Snakes, but, and honestly, I don't have that much of an interest to it, not because Kojima wasn't involved in it, but because, I look at that game and I'm like, it's visually less appealing to me than the original Metal Gear Solid. Oh, well, it has more polygons, it has better textures, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but it's a visually ugly looking game. Like just because you have more polygons doesn't mean you use those polygons well. And you have just, like, I think the game looks fucking ugly as hell, especially whenever you compare it to Metal Gear Solid 2, which I'm pretty sure, yeah, Metal Gear Solid 2 came out before that, and I know the GameCube can do way better visuals than that, and for some reason, just Twin Snakes looked like shit, and I didn't. That's it. That's just my thoughts on that. And honestly, I don't really care about a version of Metal Gear Solid that plays like Metal Gear Solid 2 because, I have Metal Gear Solid 2 for that. I want the gameplay experience of Metal Gear Solid 1. Like, that's what made, that's what makes all these games, kind of special to me, is that each one has their own individual feel. So I go through Metal Gear Solid 1, and I already had a whole bunch of stuff spoiled for me. But even having that stuff spoiled for me, I still was, really invested. Like, when I get to, the Psycho Mantis part, and he's just like, I see you like to play Castlevania. I'm like, shit, I do like to play Castlevania. It's like, put your controller on the ground. And, by that point, I was actually using a PS2 controller adapter from my PS3, because I was playing it on the PS3. So I still got the controller vibration thing and stuff. It was so fucking cool. And there are just so many great segments to that game. There's just all these little Easter eggs to it. It was such a well put together, just masterful fucking experience. Like taking down Metal Gear Rex, Metal Gear Rex, all of that. It was so fucking cool. And Metal Gear Solid 1 is still just one of the best fucking games. And it's such a tight gaming experience too. And I'll really get into the whole tight, because it's if you know what you're doing in that game, you could probably get it done in a good 4-5 hours or so. It's a really lean experience. I think in my first playthrough I got done in it 6.5 hours. And it was just a really tight, lean gameplay experience, and I loved it from beginning to end. Then you get to Metal Gear Solid 2, and that one's all trippy and weird as shit, especially in the latter portions of the game. And god damn, that game was so ahead of its time. I didn't really appreciate Metal Gear Solid 2 as much as 1, but 2 was still such a great game. And retrospectively, looking back on Metal Gear Solid 2, I'm like, that game predicted so much. When you get to the end of it, it's talking about internet culture and how internet's going to change how we take information in, how we're fed news, just how it's going to affect culture on a larger scale. That game predicted so much, and it really holds up today. And it's such a good fucking game. And the gameplay was great. The final battle with Solidus was just balls to the wall cool, and it was just a great experience. Like I said, it didn't leave the same impact with me that Metal Gear Solid 1 did. It was a better looking game. Raiden was, but I wasn't super into Raiden in the beginning. I think he's a much cooler character now, and I think MGS4 and Revengeance had a bit to do with that. But I still think even pre-Cyborg Raiden has his own merits to him. And I understand what Kojima was going through. Honestly, I really wish I could have played that game when it came out, because I know that all the marketing behind MGS2 was they were really trying to trick me to think that Snake was going to be the main character. They showed you gameplay segments from later in the game that Raiden's the main character of, but they were playing it as Snake. So they're really fucking with people there. I thought that was kind of cool, because for people who don't know, Snake, he's only in the first maybe 2-hour portion of that game called the Tanker Mission. Then you get to the Big Shell Mission, and you get to that and you're playing that as Raiden. And the game tricks you into thinking that you're still going to be playing as Snake until he takes the mask off, and you're like, who the fuck is this lean little pretty boy? This isn't my badass grizzled, solid Snake. Who the fuck is this faggot? So yeah, I wish I could have experienced that like the rest of the world did. It was, because that was one of the spoiled things. That would have been really cool, because that experiencing that meta element of that game. And then we get to MGS3. This one isn't as trippy or weird, and it isn't quite as creative as Metal Gear Solid 1 was, which is how it implemented kind of its weird meta elements. But Jesus Christ, if it isn't my favorite game in this series. I loved every little bit of it. The story, just the cheesy campiness. I mean, the MGS series has always had that kind of camp cheesiness to it, but this was on it felt like kind of like an old campy spy film from like the '60s, and it was such a fucking thrill ride. All the boss fights are so goddamn memorable. Vulcan was cool as fuck. Naked Snake, the boss fight, like the fight with the boss, was so emotional, so impactful. Just like it left me just whoa, what the fuck game. And then you get the end of, you know, like the final cutscene, and you know, just, you know, he gets elevated to the status of the big boss, and he's so disenchanted with his government, with like the structure he had been fighting for this entire time. Like everything he felt was like a lie, and just that story carried so much weight with it. And the gameplay was fantastic. I've only played, you know, since I played, you know, the Essentials Collection that had the Subsistence release, which had the improved camera and all that bullshit. And I'm glad I got to play it that way instead of like the broken shitty camera that was in the original release. But yeah, it was such an amazing gameplay experience. I miss some of the elements that are in that game, like the actual survival element where you have to like feed yourself and like, oh shit, you broke the bones, you have to like mend your bones. And like that game was such an experience. I was so shitty at the stealth elements in that game. And it seems like a lot of people, everyone I've spoken to has had the same experience with MGS3, where you're going into that one building where you're trying to find Rykov, the guy who looks like Raiden. And you're supposed to, like, you know, capture him, steal his clothes, wear a Rykov mask. And I got caught in that fucking building. And I ran and I hid in, like, the bathroom stall. I'm just like, don't find me, don't find me, don't find me. And, like, some guys come in there. Oh, shit, they find me. And I just gunned them down. And I pick up their ammo. I'm like, okay, just... I'm waiting for the alert to go down. And shit, like, more guys come in there. And I just keep fucking firing at these guys. I'm just like, stop coming in here. Just leave me alone. I'm just trying to take a shit. And just, they kept coming in, and I just kept killing them. And then finally, the alert goes down. I'm like, oh my god. Alright, and I get out of the building. I get out of the restroom. Dead bodies piled everywhere. And I get out there, and I look. Oh my god. I killed every soldier in this building. I'm a monster. The only thing left were the scientist and Rykov. So, I mean, I couldn't leave a job half done, so I walked up to each scientist and like killed like the last 3 of them. I get to Rykov and knock him out, and I steal his outfit, and I just see it. I load his body up in a locker. I'm looking at his body in the locker. I'm just put 2 in his head. Well, that was a job well done. Which, yeah, that did really fuck me in the sorrow fight later, because I'm just like, oh my god, there's fucking ghost people everywhere. Oh my god. So yeah, MGS3, the greatest of the series. It's so fucking good. And then finally, we get to MGS4. You know, the thing that I played all these games to get through. Because like I said, I did all those games in like the span of, I want to say 2 months, maybe? So yeah. You know, so I'm like riding the MGS hype train hard. And then I pick up MGS4, and like, it was awesome. Like, you know, yeah, like, at the time, it was awesome. Reflecting back on this game, it's not as awesome, and well, I'll get to that. But, you know, when I was in the moment, I was enjoying this game so much. And, like, every so often, I'd be like, oh, no, that's kind of dumb. Oh, that's cool. But, like, you know, riding that fucking emotional hype train, there's just so many cool moments. Yeah, and it felt like an emotionally fulfilling endpoint, you know, when the credits started rolling, and I was just like, oh, you know, there's a lot of unanswered questions still in this. And then, Big Boss shows up, and he just exposition dumps for like 10 goddamn minutes, filling in every little plot hole that was left in the series. I was just like, oh man, this game really did answer all my questions. Then I reflect back on it like a couple of months later, I'm like, most of those answers were bullshit, and this game's kind of really fucking stupid. And what I mean by being really kind of fucking stupid is just like almost every answer in this to like the great Metal Gear mysteries is nano machines. Like what? Like why was this happening? Nano machines. What was the lolly lule low? Oh, it's a censorship word for the Patriots. Oh, that's induced by nano machines. Oh, well why is Vamp like a vampire? Nano machine. Like everything was goddamn. Like nano machines was just. You might as well just fucking said it's magic. I don't have to explain shit. Because everything just fucking fell back on nano machines and fucking hated it. I hated it. It was dumb. And also, okay, fine. Vamp is a goddamn vampire. He's not really a vampire. He has vampire-like abilities because of nano machines. Okay, well, how the fuck was he able to swim in over-oxygenated water in 2? Did nano machines make him lighter than the fucking over-oxygenated water? Is that what the fuck happened? Oh my god, it was stupid. It was so goddamn stupid. I hated... Like, I don't hate the game. I don't. It's just, it's not that good, and people who pedestalize it as this great fucking, end point to the Metal Gear Solid story, they really need to take a moment to really reflect on what that game was doing. It was just filling in holes and not really caring about how it was doing it. You could tell Kojima just written himself into a story, or written himself into a corner with his story, and he didn't really know how to bullshit his way out of it. And then whenever you get to the end with this big boss, and he's filling in all this bullshit for Solid Snake, and it's just... yeah, it's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of things that really don't make a whole lot of sense. And yeah, I just, especially like with fuck Ocelot. Oh my god, all that bullshit with Ocelot was stupid as fuck. Like, oh well, he was programmed to, he put himself under mind control to think he was liquid because reasons. Shut the fuck up. Also, I think he might have been gay for for Big Boss. I don't remember. Whatever. It's dumb. Yeah, MGS4. Also, the game the game frame rate was all over the fucking place. It was never didn't have a very good solid frame rate, so its performance suffered. It had ridiculously fucking long oh fuck, what the hell is it? Install times. You had to install between each chapter, and then you have goddamn Otacon being like, "Hey Snake, you need to switch out disc." Oh wait, this is Blu-ray. 50 gigs. You don't have to switch disc anymore. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But you know what I didn't do in MGS1? I didn't have to wait 20 minutes between chapters for each part of it to fucking install, which is fucking atrocious whenever you think one of the goddamn missions is almost entirely just walking around following some dude, leading to a long cutscene and then a car chase. So yeah, like MGS4, it's definitely flawed. It's still full of some great fucking moments. It's still cool as shit. But as far as being the satisfying conclusion to the Metal Gear Solid franchise, it definitely wasn't that. And especially it wasn't that whenever you consider, oh right, we also have an MGS5, which is a prequel, but then there's another prequel called Peace Walker, and then between MGS3 and 4 there was Portable Ops, and oh my god. Okay, so, all the other games in the Metal Gear Solid series, I really do feel that after, MGS3 is the last truly great Kojima-directed Metal Gear Solid game. Because after that, we get, Peace Walker. And Peace Walker is fine. It's a great little mission-based game, but it's completely thin on story. It has no real, bosses or anything. The bosses are all, these AI robot things that are way too advanced to exist in that fucking part of the timeline. And I didn't even get to, the true ending, because I didn't know that there was a true ending. I felt like this game had been so tedious by the time I'd gotten to the basic ending. I was just like, okay, cool, done. And then a friend of mine was just like, oh, did you get the real ending? I'm like, there's a real ending? He goes, oh yeah, like you have to like go through and do a whole bunch of missions, and then like you have to like wait for this dude to escape 5 times and like catch him each time, and you have to like do like another mission, and then he'll escape again, and then you have to do a bunch of other missions, and then he'll escape again, and you just have to keep catching him. And then after that, then you get the real ending with the real final mission. I looked at my buddy, I'm like, there's no way in fucking hell I'm doing that. I'm already fucking bored of this game. It isn't that good. It is like I don't want to do all these fucking tedious missions. And this is where I start getting into like my issue with the Metal Gear Solid games, because like I said, MGS1 was such a lean, tight experience, and the other like 2 and 3 also felt, and honestly even 4, they felt like these complete lean experiences. Like sometimes the games can drag a little here and there, but I never felt like the games were wasting my time. Here, Peace Walker was literally being a fucking time waster. Go to fucking hell. It had great fucking gameplay mechanics, I will say that. It definitely had better gameplay mechanics than Portable Ops, but to fucking just block off the ending, that's not what the Metal Gear Solid series has been about. And considering that ending is really important to Ground Zeroes, fuck them for that. Such bullshit. It wasn't even like a satisfying ending, because I went and like looked up the final finale of the game, and I was just like, oh, that's what happened. Paz is a traitor. I didn't give a shit. Fuck it. Like, it wasn't like the story was really building to that anyhow. It was a bullshit fucking out of left field. Oh, look at this surprise twist ending. Fuck it. And then you get fucking Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain. I mean, Ground Zeroes is a fine little experience. It is a nice little open world or open area little thing that you can play from different points of, from different kind of ways, and has its own little side missions. It's a fun little gaming experience. Fucking Phantom Pain starts off so goddamn great and becomes such bloated fucking horseshit that I couldn't goddamn finish it. I only got about maybe 16 hours into this game, which is longer than most of the other fucking games in the franchise, and I got bored. I didn't give a shit. It was just the same old, like, let's go back to, fuck, it wasn't Mother Base. I don't think it was, I forgot what the fuck it was called in that game. But, you know, you go back to that, and then you just go back and forth between missions, and, you know, they drop you in the middle of fucking nowhere, and you have to travel God knows how fucking far to get to, like, I mean, there are cool elements in this open world area, but I rather would have, it's the open world curse. Just open areas for God knows how fucking far. There's jack shit to do in it, but look, it's open world. Look how expansive. You can do anything. It's just like, I just want to fucking go and experience a story and play a lean gameplay experience. I want proper level design. Like, the friggin' areas in MGS 1 and 2 and 3 and even 4, they felt like well-designed areas. Like I was supposed to traverse them, and they're memorable because of that. Whenever you just have big open fucking desert environment, that's not gonna stick with me. I'm not gonna remember these. I'm not gonna remember these missions, especially when so many of the missions are so fucking samey. So yeah, I was really disappointed with the Phantom Pain, obviously, because I didn't even fucking finish it, because it was such a goddamn bore. I didn't even get to like any like the real like, and it's such a shame too, because like, the game started so great. The fucking momentum in the beginning of the game, I'm like, oh man, I am in for an awesome Metal Gear Solid experience. Haha! Joke was on me, because it wasn't. And the weird thing is, like, people always like, you know, pedestalize, like, oh man, Kojima is like the only guy who can make really great Metal Gear games. It's like, but then I look at Portable Ops. Portable Ops is a great fucking game. I would say that feels way more like a Metal Gear game than Peace Walker did, or fuck. Honestly, it feels more like an MGS game than 4 or Peace Walker or Ground Zeroes or fucking Phantom Pain. Yeah, it is like that structured mission thing where it's like you're going back and forth, you know, going on missions. But, like, you know, the areas, like, each area feels designed and well-structured, and you have a great cast of characters, memorable villains, cool boss fights, just great dialogue between characters, and it was just a really cool fight. Like, yeah, like, the gameplay isn't the best, but it still felt more Metal Gear-ish to me. The codec calls, all that stuff was there. Metal Gear Solid 4 was really lacking in, like, the codec calls and having all these characters that I could interact with. And that was also like a big part of the Metal Gear Solid franchise to me, was having all these characters to interact with. So, and then I felt like Peace Walker was trying to make up for that. It's like, here's all these characters that you would have conversations with. But I'm like, none of them are really as interesting. Like, Chico was fucking lame. Paz was alright. Hal was cool. Or was his name Hal? I think, no. Fuck, Otacon's dad. I'm blanking on his name. I think, no, because Hal Emmerich is Otacon's real name. I don't remember Otacon's dad's name. You can tell, like, I'm getting more frustrated because this video is getting more disjointed, because, like, the more I think back about, like, the later Metal Gear games, because, like I said, the first 3 games are fucking masterpieces. I think Portable Ops is still a legitimately damn good game. I'd even say it's a fucking great game if it wasn't for the goddamn control scheme, which it plays much better on the Vita. Like, if you can play that fucker on the Vita, you're gonna have a great goddamn gaming experience. If you play it on the PSP like it was originally intended, there's no way to make that control scheme feel good. If you play it on the Vita, it's definitely much better. So yeah, you had MGS4 that was really lacking in the expansive, side characters that you got to interact with. Honestly, the villains aren't even that memorable because the Beast and Beauty Core, they get development after fucking killed, which is goddamn lame. You have MGS Peace Walker, which it had like all the codec calls, but the codec call characters were fucking lame for the most part. And Birdwatcher chick, yeah, she's so fucking great. And then it completely was lacking in memorable bosses. So, and then you get Ground Zeroes, which is a fucking demo, and you have MGS5, The Phantom Pain, and that just feels like this bloated, weighed down fucking experience. And like, these games just didn't feel like what Metal Gear Solid had been to me up until that point. And when you want to know what actually did feel way more like a Metal Gear Solid game? Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, which was fucking awesome. Platinum, goddamn, knocked that out of the park. It captured the feel of Metal Gear while being this balls-to-the-wall crazy action game. It had an over-the-top crazy fucking storyline that was really, kind of pretentious and preachy, but still really cool. It had a lot of the self-aware humor that I loved about it. It had, the codec calls, it had memorable villains with memorable boss fights. It had some stealth mechanics. It felt way more like a Metal Gear Solid installment than 4 or Peace Walker or 5, and that's a goddamn shame when Platinum Games, when Platinum Games comes and does a fucking action, hack and slash action game, and it feels more like Metal Gear Solid to me than the actual Kojima directed games, or when his side people of Kojima Productions make a game for the PSP, and that's that feels more like a Metal Gear Solid game than Kojima's own directed vision. It's really fucking disheartening. And I know a lot of people are really looking forward to his next game. Was it Death Stranding? I'm blanking on it. I think it's Deadly Stranding. Fuck, I don't remember it. Anyhow, his big PS4 IP. And, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what it's going to be. Like, I can't say I'm excited because his last 3 games, if you want to include Ground Zeroes as its own individual game, or 4 games if you want to count Ground Zeroes, have been kind of disappointments. They haven't really met the bar of what I expect a Kojima game to be. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Like I said, I still have a fond love of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, but it isn't what it used to be, and that really breaks my heart. Oh god, I also forgot that fucking Konami is gonna milk the franchise by making Metal Gear Survive or whatever. Oh my god. God, fuck them. Fuck Konami. Fuck them so goddamn hard. Fuck Metal Gear. Was it Survive? I think it's Survive. Fuck their shitty goddamn pachinko bullshit. Oh, fuck them. Anyhow, I'm going to do another goddamn poll on the Twitter. It should be up by the time this video is uploaded. So by the time you've gotten to this point, it will already be available for you to vote on what the next one of these videos is going to be. Till next time, Zeon. Oh, sorry. Out.